What's up, fellow travelers? Caleb here, back again with just a quick informational video since we just finished our time in Thailand. We just arrived in Vietnam a few days ago, but we spent two months traveling around in Thailand, checking out places like Pattaya and Bangkok, though this time we didn't make it to Chiang Mai or the islands. That was a few years ago when I managed to go there, but I did want to briefly talk about some of the cost of living expectations that you should have if you're a digital nomad and you plan on checking out Thailand in 2025. Overall, it is still very affordable. I'm going to take a look at a couple categories like fun, housing, and food costs, for example. So starting with things like accommodation. You're going to find pretty good options, but you're also going to find a large variation of options. The prices differ super heavily between the touristic places and the non-touristic places. We were able to rent a pretty sweet little 2-bedroom house with a decent sized yard in a neighborhood close to malls and shops for, I think it was $550 a month. If you look for something similar in really popular areas like central Pattaya or Koh Phi Phi for the islands down south, or in the really popular neighborhoods of Bangkok, you're going to have a harder time and you're probably going to be paying more. The condo prices in some of the towers in the popular areas are going to be closer to maybe $1,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, that's USD. But if you go to rural areas, you're obviously going to find better prices. If you're staying long term, it might be better just to go a little bit outside of the main area and you're going to get a lot better prices. Also, something to consider if you're renting in Thailand for months at a time is that unlike some other places like Central or South America, you usually have to pay for the electricity and the water bill even if you're going through Airbnb. They will check the water bill when you arrive, the meter for the water meter, and they'll check it each month so that they can calculate what you have to pay. Similarly for the electricity bill. So that air conditioner can be kind of expensive. I think we paid on average maybe $40 to $50 a month to have the air conditioner going. I don't know, semi-frequently. It is definitely pretty hot. Maybe most days it was 30 degrees Celsius. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you also have to pay for utilities a lot of the time. If you're going to go and stay for a long time, you're probably going to be doing some grocery shopping. One thing we noticed is that it's almost just as cheap to go and get food somewhere or to order from something like a Grab than it is to get stuff from the grocery store. Obviously, if you know what you're doing and you get pretty comfortable with the products, you can probably lower your daily costs for eating pretty low, especially if you're just going to eat stuff like chicken, rice, and veggies that you can make pretty easily. Something to keep in mind though, if you are going to stay long term in some place like Thailand, and honestly this is true for a lot of Asia, but the kitchens are relatively small compared to what we've experienced in a lot of places in Southeast Asia. There's often maybe just 1 or 2 burners, induction stoves are super common, just kind of countertop induction stoves. And there's often not an oven. Maybe there'll be a microwave or maybe some kind of like rice cooker or steamer, which gives you some options. But if you want to like bake a chicken or something like that to do meal prep for the week, this might be a little bit more difficult. But a benefit is that ordering food is super cheap. And if you do something like go to the street food carts, you can get dinner or lunch for like, I don't know, $2, $3. So you can still eat really cheaply in Thailand, but we've found that the cost effectiveness for buying all of your groceries and cooking at home is really not that much different than just going out and getting some street food, or even ordering from Grab. A lot of the times it'll be like $1, maybe $1, $2 USD for the delivery. Even if you tip, it's still pretty affordable. If you get a $5 meal plus a $2 delivery fee, it's going to be $7 to feed yourself. That's fairly reasonable. Maybe you don't want to do that every meal. However, there are usually some kind of street food vendor like everywhere. One of the most common things is the just kind of grilled meat sticks of miscellaneous types that you can find. A lot of the times those will just be 10 baht, for example, so they can be super cheap. You can grab a couple of those, maybe grab a drink at 7-Eleven, and you can eat dinner for less than $5 super easily. Fun. This is also something that can vary pretty heavily, but you do not have to spend a lot of money on fun. If you're gonna go to a super popular club and you're gonna get like some pretty fancy mixed drinks pretty frequently, then obviously you can spend more money. But if you're just going to do some, periodic excursions, like when we were in Sriracha, we went to Koh Cheng from Koh Loi Pier, I think is the name of it. And I think the boat ride was like $1, and it's like a 40-minute boat ride to a pretty sweet island that has some beaches and stuff. Beer is pretty cheap. You can get a can of beer for like $1, $2, depending on the brand. The Chang elephant beer is one of the most popular ones, but obviously you have some choices. Weed is also super common here, and those prices will vary super heavily depending on if you're in a tourist area or not. If you live outside of the tourist areas, you can probably find a local head shop that will give you, pre-rolls for $1, $2, maybe $3, and then you can get some pretty good prices per gram. But if you go to the really big popular shops in the really popular areas, the prices are going to be significantly higher. Overall, this is something that you should keep in mind when you're living in Thailand, is that scams are definitely part of the lifestyle, meaning that you have to be aware of them. Even something like as simple as a taxi ride might cost you significantly more if you don't know what you're doing. Make sure they turn on the meter, but honestly, I kind of just recommend to avoid taxis altogether and just use Grab, where there is a fixed price and you know the route that you're going, so that they can't try to take a longer route to make the meter run for a longer time. And then things like tuk-tuks and the little like motor taxis, the guys that have the vests that kind of hang out outside, they're really cheap if you're in a non-tourist area. For example, where we were in Sriracha, we didn't have a problem getting overcharged that much. It was maybe to get to the mall that was 15 minutes away, it maybe cost $2. But a similar length ride in Pattaya or in by the temples in Bangkok, they'll try to charge you 3 times as much, and also be aware that they might try to charge you per person. This is one of the most common scams, so you have to be a little bit savvy, and you have to be willing to negotiate, and you have to be willing to walk away. So if they don't want to lower it to something reasonable, just give them the old, okay, thank you, start walking away, and suddenly you might find that the price has dropped significantly because they would rather get some money than nothing at all. These are all things that you have to keep in mind. Overall, we had a really good time in Thailand. The people are super, super nice. They're very respectful. Everybody was really kind. Even if they try to rip you off, the people are still really nice about it. Which is kind of an interesting combination, but I highly recommend that you do visit Thailand in 2025. It's got some really amazing culture, some cool temples, some great food, and there's some awesome beaches and mountains and cool things to see. Just be aware of scams, and be aware that in the tourist areas, you're going to pay a lot more. We were able to survive for maybe $1,000 USD per person. This is totally reasonable. You can make that up to $2,000 or $3,000 if you want to have like a super fancy loft and a nice place and you're going out every weekend. But if your budget is closer to 1,000 USD for yourself to stay in Thailand, this is totally doable. You can find a lot of one bedrooms for maybe 300 to 400 to 500 per month, depending on the location. And you can eat for maybe $10 or under a day, $15 or under a day for 3 good meals. And then if you want to go on excursions, these can range anywhere from maybe $10 to $50 depending on what it is. There are some pretty expensive excursions, like if you want to go on a full day trip to check out some elephants or something. Also, side note, please do your research on your elephant sanctuaries. There are so many of the elephant sanctuaries that treat the animals poorly, so please do your research on ones that maybe even are rehabilitation centers and save the ones that are coming from the bad touristy ones. Don't go to any place that lets you ride the elephants. Don't go to any place where they force the elephants to do tricks or anything like that. Same goes for all of the animal-based tourist attractions in Thailand. Just try to be mindful and try to be respectful of the environment and the animals. So if you're on a low budget and you want to visit Thailand, the prices have been increasing as tourism has been increasing, but you can definitely, with a little bit of travel savviness, have an affordable, fun, and super cool trip. Okay, this was just kind of a random video that I threw together on the fly to give you guys some information, probably throw some footage over it of us traveling around Thailand. But thank you very much. If you found this useful at all, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.